Hey, let it be known, I'm working hard when I ain't on the phone. This ain't a home, this ain't a foe. Grind never stopping, I'm keeping it cold. Unlocking the door with the holy key. You supposed to be this close to me, and hopefully you understand G.O.D.
You can't erase impact, man. That impact that Bishop had on, man. Let's forget just DeKalb County in Atlanta, man. He had an impact on
the world,
the church in the States, period. I mean, I didn't know how he was international, but I know in the States, I mean, he started to become an icon. And then, you know, like you said, Bishop Jake said, you know, the first of the doors the one to get shot. Nobody was doing some of the stuff Bishop was doing, brother. Yeah. So he was, you know, opening up doors, like doing new things that was making churches around the world like, this is possible.
Yeah.
Because they didn't see, they see him go from a smaller version to where he was. That's making more churches feel like, man, we can do this. You know? So a lot of more people was more on the intimate side. They knew him from, you know, when he wasn't as well known as he was. So they seen that growth come from him. And when you can see that intimately, it makes you believe.
Yeah.
You know, versus not just all of a sudden, like he didn't move into DeKalb County and then all of a sudden everybody had to get to know who is this guy coming from way over from a whole place. You see what I'm saying?
Man. He went there. Man, listen, bro. First of all, I'm gonna say that when Jarvis said that, like I was at work. I worked in the IT department. I had the home going on one side. I had my job on the other side. And when you got up, I stopped. And when you said, "Who the hell is they?" I was screaming in the office, boy. They was like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Y'all just don't understand." Just same thing what Jarvis was saying, right? But the next thing I said was, "This is his church." Because what I saw was people responding to you, bro. I saw the response. I saw there was a shift because you're sitting there, you're in the middle of a service, everybody getting, you know, there's a program and all these different things. When you got the mic, bro, there was a shift. And I was sitting there listening and I was like, this is his spot.
Wow.
I'm waiting for this whole transition to go down.
I got a question. I got a quick question. I know we got to wrap it up.
Y'all fine with me. It's all good.
Yeah.
We might take an AC break.
I was like,
I'm relishing in this. This is good.
How did you feel? Like, okay, so we see New Birth, what it is like today in the direction. How did that make you? Did you want that? I don't want to say did you want the position, but did you assume that would be the direction that the church would go in? So, or you would be the next, and because I know you grew up in this. This is like
it's yours.
It's your, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. When the transition happened, did you think that it was gonna go? You were gonna be the next leader, and when it didn't, how did that make you feel?
Very dynamic question. So I put out a book in January, and it's called "Son of a Bishop." And you told me you reading it and crying.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah, that's
the responses that I've gotten from this book have been mind blowing.
Yeah.
You follow me? And when I say mind blowing, it's been the responses of people who've purchased it that I would never have fathomed would have gotten the book, taken the time to read 263 pages. You feel what I'm saying? And then share how it's impacted them and even their household. I also would not have fathomed some of the responses of certain people who I've reached out to come to their church, share about the book, who claim they love my dad, but don't respond to me, or what have you. I don't know if it puts them in an uncomfortable position, or I don't know. You follow me? But I'm tickled and elated by it all. Without playing spoiler, my dad and I will have arguments about the church, in that it's any father's desire for their son or daughter to continue in the heritage, the legacy, etc. You feel me? I'm a father now. My son is 2.5 months old right now. My wife's texting me. That's why I've been on the phone. You know what I'm saying? He's got a little fever. So I'm concerned, and she's concerned about our son leaving the house, who comes into the house, the environment, and how the environment will affect our son. Because a good father, a good mother, a good parent wants to protect their offspring. And so my dad's thing with us, not just me, but with my siblings and I, was I don't want y'all to have to endure all of this crap
Wow.
that I've been going through and enduring, etc. So this was the dialogue over years. And so I always took that as like the father of the mute boy. That here it is, my dad is this gladiator in the kingdom who is given enemies and territories and all of this stuff that's anti the kingdom, hell. You feel me? And a crazy believer. At the same time, there's this faith struggle, a level of unbelief concerning his offspring because of wanting to protect and cover.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And so what happens is my response to him is, look, man, you done trained up a soldier. I've worked every area during there in this church, from construction, youth, finance, janitorial, custodial, media, all of this. Why train up a soldier if you're not gonna send him to war?
Yeah.
Why train a soldier if you ain't gonna let a soldier fight? You feel me? And so my dad's thing was ensuring that preparation was there and had its time. And also, he really loved New Birth. You feel me? And wanted to make sure that the people of New Birth, the congregation, were able to be truly and genuinely cared for, if you will. And so, and then making sure our family lineage, heritage, and all that is still tied to the church and able to flourish and all that as well. And so in the days since then, in talking to his cohorts, I mentioned two of them in the book. And it's funny, I was talking to Archbishop Jordan, Bernard Jordan, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He and my dad got really close about the last 2 years or so of my dad's life. And he even shared with me about how much my dad wanted me to be in the pastoral seat of the church, how much they talked about it, and just him wanting to make sure I was prepared. Because this is a monstrosity.
Right.
You know,
Right.
this is the largest piece of African-American owned property in the state of Georgia. And maybe for a church in the country, I got to still do a little more research on that. And if we're going to say that, then possibly the world. This is not a small thing.
Yeah.
You follow me? And so in that, I believe, and even talking to another gentleman I mentioned in the book, that my dad's desire was for in time and the right season for that to take place. You understand, when Solomon became king, and many other kings, you read the book of Kings, you even hear others who mention that they were young. And that's where the scripture that there is wisdom in the multitude of counsel is inspired from.
Yeah.
That they put an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, an 8 or 9-year-old in the seat of king because from a monarchy standpoint, that's proper. Whether you have the wisdom or not, you are the blood heir. So this is what is proper.
Yeah.
Right.
And they put the council around. One of my favorite shows is Game of Thrones. I can't wait to August 21st when the next episode come on. You feel me? But they're showing how kingdom is supposed to work. And then all of the vultures that swoop down on it because of what it can do for them. And so it was not a matter of me wanting it. I ran from it. I was in music, Young Dirty Bishop, all this stuff y'all were talking about. I was on some, throughout most of my 20s and my teens for sure, people calling me Little Bishop and all of that kind of stuff, woo-de-woo, but I wasn't preaching. I was an inspirationalist through my music, through this, that, and the third. I wasn't with all of that. And in 2008, my cousin and friend, producer DeJuan Smith, and I, we were negotiating, having conversations with Sirius XM and with Premier Radio about taking our radio show to the next level. And right at that moment, I literally got a call from my dad saying, "Son, I need you." Because our youth director was having to resign, and our youth pastor, Eddie Velez, dope guy, my dad was placing him over New Birth Latino. So here we had this vacancy, and he's telling me it was a question. It was a call of need, but it was really a direction.
Yeah.
How you gonna tell your dad who's raised you the X, Y, and Z support, boom, boom, if your parent call and say, "Son, I need you," how I'm gonna say no? I can't. I wanted to, but that's heavy. So in 08, I start youth pastoring, still trying to carry my show, tired as just, still. And the team just came and was like, "Bro, you in a different space now. You gotta let this go. We see you, bro. It was a good ride." But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now, from 09 to 2016, I'm fully in ministry.
Yeah.
Fully in church, fully preaching. Now, a year after that, here come these lawsuits.
Yeah.
All my external speaking engagements. I was a TV host in Charlotte on the Inspiration Network. I was set to host some other tours, even some mainstream tours. I'm kind of getting my groove in youth pastoring and can kind of get back out here. All of that got taken away.
Wow.
Jeez.
When my dad's name is flashed across CNN and all these other networks. So I'm fully focused on the church. Now you got to understand this as well. The lawsuits were painted like they were pedophilia. Pedophilia is dealing with children. I'm the youth pastor.
Yeah.
I see.
So I'm pastoring. John Gray is here for a season with me. Few others come and go. But I'm the main guy. And then my partner, Adonis Jules, we're carrying the youth ministry in its worst time.
Right.
Yeah.
We went from seeing about 2,000 kids every Sunday from the nursery up to high school to now roughly about 200, 250.
Wow.
You're talking about virtually a 90, 80% decrease in attendance. We're going to schools trying to do youth ministry, and they're introducing us from New Birth. These kids don't even know us. These high school students, middle schoolers, when they say New Birth, the kids start laughing. We on the front line now. This is what my life became week in and week out. Bro, I'm a soldier. I'm first responder. You follow me? So now I'm becoming even more passionate about it. It's not just my dad's thing.
It's your,
It's our thing for sure now. I'm not just part of the first family. Oh, let's clap it up for no. Bro, we in the trenches now.
yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And so at that point, it wasn't a matter of me wanting to be pastor. It was a matter of I'm looking at whether I'm pastor or not, this is where I am. And this is our fight now. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so, my dad, I believe, tapped Stephen Davis as an interim figure because he knew that all he did was pastor. And again, caring for the people, he would be a consistent person who loves my family, who's part of our church association already, and who's been faithful to us. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so I'm trusting that him, the church at large, the community and all, in time will do the right things.
Yeah.
My son will keep developing. This is a hope, if you will, which was even articulated, like, again, to a couple of his cohorts. And so some of these things begin to come to me a couple of months later, a few weeks later, etc. Cool. This is awesome. I'm trying to keep my head down and just be consistent.
Yeah.
Preaching, doing, working, serving, all of these things. I wasn't upset. People were calling me when the announcement was made that Stephen Davis is going to be the pastor and entering all those things or what have you. And I'm like, all right, that's dope. You know, they let me know their frustrations. You feel me? I'm just like, man, I just got to keep my head down, bro.
Yeah.
I believe in the greater picture, bigger picture, and the game plan.
Yeah.
When the transition takes place in his resignation, he and I are talking, and that's when I began to be utilized a lot more. I am preaching that whole summer. This is summer 2018. We in summer 22 now. And I'm preaching. I'm officiating services when they bring in guest preachers in who were actually,
At New Birth, you were still doing it?
yes, who were actually candidates, if you will, for the position. I had to kind of figure that out. So I made it be known then. They had a town hall meeting, and they said in the town hall meeting, somebody stood up and asked the question, well, what about Ed? And the response that council that was speaking that night said was, well, we've talked to Ed, and we've let him know that we are going to search for someone. I was sitting on the side, and I was like, yeah, we had that conversation. Y'all told me that. That don't mean I agreed. You feel me?
Yeah.
I even talked to one of the candidates who was like their top choice. Me and him were really cool, still cool to this day, love him to life. And I said to him, I said, "What's going on, bro? You gonna run with the church? What's good? I ain't heard from you. That's just how I be."
Yeah.
And he said, "Man, I told him no." I said, "Really?" He said, "Man, truth be told, I'm finna step down from the church I'm at now. I'm not gonna be pastoring no more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna focus on the next thing that God has for me." And he said, "I'm gonna just tell you this too. I told him they should roll with you."
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that he messed me up when he said that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so I'm like, wow, okay, the enemy's really busy. Because now we starting to do church and not kingdom.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Golly.
Right.
'Cause you talking, and I'm realizing like there's an aspect I didn't even.
And
This is the top of when before social media became the monster it is.
it's a
now.
monster now. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
mhm.
that's the beginning. So when you just said how they painted the picture of this our children,
Oh, boy, these Negroes.
it was easy to run with that because
Yeah,
it was
I
no
don't like
fact
media,
checking.
man. That's why
There was
I
no
don't
fact
like
checking
it.
at that time.
No,
You know what
nobody
I'm
looked
saying?
and said, well, how old are these gentlemen really?
Yeah.
These guys is like 4 or 5 years younger than me.
They
Yeah.
didn't even question it.
They
Nobody
didn't-
questioned
yeah.
nothing. That's why
Yeah.
my dad's statement the night the Sunday morning he spoke, the week after the release was, "I'm not the man I'm being painted to be."
Yeah.
That it was so much in that. But here we go.
Man.
So what happens is, I continue throughout that summer preaching all of those type of things, and then a choice is made. That was hard for a lot of people
Yeah.
because the choice was not an internal choice. The membership was not given a vote. A lot of people think that. There was never a
Really?
voting process for the membership. The membership was surprised like anybody else. So the membership just had to accept what took place.
Wow.
You feel me? That's how the organization was structured. So, and people started telling me, well, you need to take over and you need to do this. And I said, well, no, that's an Absalom spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's thing was taking authority, but you can take authority in which you have the authority to take authority. Kingdom wise, yes, I have the authority. There are 2 people living in the world right now that have, well, now 3. My son had to put him in that. Wow, I never thought about that. But prior to that, it was 2 people with the blood of Eddie Long, myself and Jared Lee Long. That's authority. All of my siblings together, that's authority.
Yeah.
But the organization is an entity
Right.
on the books with the state of Georgia. My name ain't on them books. So I would have been
Yeah.
out of order to do that.
Right.
So you have to hold these things in tension. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I say, okay, well, there you go. Where I sit today in all of that is I've tried my absolute best to stay connected with the ministry, to stay involved in the ministry, to stay utilized by the ministry, to all of that. Promises were made to me that I would have a role, that I would be involved, etc. I can't follow up with any more email or text or petitioning for a meeting or whatever. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
At some point, you gotta respect my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And at some point, the writing is on the wall. You just don't want to do.
Right.
So I've recluse from all of that, and I've turned it over to the Lord. There's nobody living that loves New Birth more than me.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
I say that in my book. I say that because before it was that's my opinion. Somebody else may feel whatever. That's my opinion, and in my opinion, that's my truth.
Yeah.
So, New Birth wasn't an opportunity for me.
Yeah.
You feel me? New Birth wasn't a rebound or a career move. New Birth wasn't and would never be any of those things for me. New Birth for me was home.
Yeah.
And so I love my people there. You feel me? We still family. But it's home look very different.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be like personal, for you, and to see where it is today. Like, are you like, okay, it's in God's hands, God's doing this thing, or is it like a, you know how sometimes you can see somebody else handling your stuff, and you like, you know,
Oh,
like,
it's definitely I mean, you have to look at. I mean,
He's from the city, man.
you know,
Oh boy.
when we talk about mantles,
yeah,
my dad's mantle was passed. My dad's mantle was passed to me. It was passed to my siblings. It was passed to sons in the faith and daughters in the faith. And, you know, there are people all across the world that have scraps, shards, of his mantle. You feel what I'm saying? I celebrate that. I celebrate the works that they are doing. Many of them have grown. Many of them have really matured and stepped in some things and probably arisen to places that they never would have had he still been living in the natural. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I celebrate it. We all have a lot of heartache concerning his transition, but there's so many things to celebrate as well. You feel me? And so those that have his mantle, they incorporate him in all kind of stuff. They'll have Bishop Long Day within their ministries. Mind you, they were asked to change the name of their churches.
Yeah.
We had the New Birth this and the New Birth that, but
Yeah.
they were asked to cease and desist and things of that nature. And so that's like another funeral. That's like another this, another that. But yet they still fight to incorporate him into what they have going on. That's that. They don't have to, but they do it because it's real. You feel what I'm saying?
yeah,
When you get the mantle, you want to maintain it. You want to preserve it, and then you want to advance it. You feel what I'm saying?
yeah,
And you want to keep the unity that existed. You don't want to. Here's the word. The antithesis of or the opposite. The antonym of mantle is dismantle. And so when I'm seeing things like a logo change, when I'm seeing things, everybody knows that's Eddie Long. Everybody knows that's New Birth. Everybody knows that this, and that. When you start seeing things, a son never dismantles his father. A son does not dismantle what was established. A son wants to keep it shining. A son wants to accentuate and add to it. A son wants to. Jesus said, I'm not trying to make a reputation for myself. I only want to do what my father does and say what my father says, etc. And so when we come to now try to establish our own reputation, then we got to understand what mantle are we
Right.
talking about? What's the mantle truly past? What?
Yeah.
Man, there's so much there. Like I'm
For
sitting
real.
here listening,
Yeah.
listening
Yeah, like
to
deep
you
stuff,
talk,
man.
right, and saying how all these things happen. like, what has been your progression of forgiveness? Because I know that you can say you forgive today, and then tomorrow you be like, oh man, forget them niggas. You know what I'm saying? But
I know. I'm looking like
Right.
the way they was moving. Like y'all go through all of this because of speculations, and then the way y'all moved, I'd be like,
It's the church.
yeah, like how do you process? How was your process of, or your process of forgiveness? Like how was that? I mean, it's mind blowing to me.
I start with forgiveness. That's my starting point. You feel me?
Yeah, I'll be ready. Yeah.
Because that's where I want to end up. So let me get there first. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, whatever it is in life I want to do, I just go ahead and do that. Because in doing that, everything else that I need to learn or be dealt with is going to show up in doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I say I want to get in shape, then cool. I'm gonna start running. But in starting to run, it's gonna teach me perseverance. It's gonna teach me discipline. It's gonna teach me grit. All these other things that I either knew or were unbeknownst to me in getting in shape.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all right, I gotta forget them. But the forgiveness ain't about them.
Yep.
Forgiveness is for me, so I can get his forgiveness,
Yeah.
and that my heart is not hardened. You follow me? So my step one is, you may never get the apology that you want.
Yeah.
That can't be
Yeah.
the hang up for not forgiving. It's people who need apologies from their parents who are deceased.
That's good.
It's people who need apologies from who don't left the country and you'll never see them again. So if you need to hear them articulate it,
Yeah.
that ain't gonna happen.
Right.
So are you just gonna be forever unforgiving? That's a bigger problem. So I started with communicating. I said out loud, I forgive such and such. Even if I don't yet,
Yep.
I got to will myself into this. I got to speak it. I got to, you know what I'm saying? All of these type of things. What I learned, so Stephen Davis and I went through a season where we weren't speaking. And that was tough for me. Why he was because I knew him. You feel me? And I said this to his congregation when I preached it. I preached it at his church back in January. I'll actually be there preaching again in September.
Cool. Word.
Yeah, so I'm all about forgiveness because the Beatitudes say, "Blessed are the peacemakers." You feel me? So I was upset with him because we had a conversation, and then he chose to make a move that I wasn't in agreement with. It was not utilizing me, and I'm like, bro, this is not making sense. And so I felt, the Holy Spirit revealed to me like he's dealing with insecurity. It has nothing to do with you. Fast forward 8-9 months later, we have another conversation, and he apologizes to me. He says, Ed, I realize that I should have been utilizing you more in the house. And I realized I was dealing with insecurity. I heard the right thing. It wasn't arrogance, it wasn't nothing. That's just what I felt in the spirit. Now, one of my mentors who I had a conversation with with them about this, they checked me, accountability, and said, let's stop talking about him and let's talk about you. Because you're really upset with him.
yeah.
I said, you're right. They said, do you pray for him? And I said, nah, I don't pray for this nigga.
Real talk. I don't even be.
Right.
Because it's like, well, he's a pastor, but you also pastoral. You're also, so you kind of got to be an example to him. And you don't know what prayer do for your heart.
Yep.
So I started praying for him. And no lie, 3 weeks later is when we had this conversation
Wow.
where he apologized to me.
Wow. Wow.
So I had to release the spirit for God to be able to work. I talk about that in the chapter of Homecoming. Some of us are so focused on the other person
Yep.
and trying to, the God's like, I can't deal with them until you let me deal with you.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So what I learned from that is what I've carried into this season. And it's just a different lesson that I'm learning in this season because I pray for the executive leadership of New Birth. I don't talk to them. I don't hear back from them. I don't, all of those type of things. So there's no communication, but I went into it praying for them. And I went into it forgiving. And I went, and I'm in as clear as I'm in y'all presence today, collaborating with y'all on this podcast. That's still my ultimate desire. We've launched the online ministry, God Church. I got an awesome team that works with me. I'm itinerant minister, all these type of things, etc. But at the beginning and the end of the day, that's still what I feel and know that is the Eden for my life, if you will. Not alone, there's still other things, but that's a big part. But I can't force it. So I pray for.
That's good.
Nothing hasn't moved in my sight, but I don't know what's moving in the background. You feel me?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I try not to talk about it. I aim to just be honest. Because I'm not going to lie to myself. I don't bring it up if it's not brought up. And I just pray. And I forgive him. And I pray, Lord, don't let your people get led astray. Lord, don't let the people be impacted. They may not recover. It's been so much. It's been this. It's been that. It's been all of these things. Wow. And people don't come to church for confusion. People come to church to get a settling concerning the confusion in their personal life.
That's right.
So the church got a lot to get together.
Listen.
Because we're attributing to confusion in people's lives. Versus settling it all. The word says God ain't in confusion.
Right.
I'm not the architect
That's right.
of confusion. So we got a lot. Where's God then? I'm just praying.
That part.
Man. Speaking of your book, I guess this brings to a good point. In your book, the thing that hit me hardest, and I was telling my wife about it, she didn't know, but the chapter "People Are People," and when you're picking up this celebrity, and you ask them to do, I think it's a drop
Radio,
and they were just like, nah, like, you know what I'm saying, like straight chump you off pretty much, and then they go to meet your dad, and your dad's like, oh yeah, this is my son. Oh, I ain't know that. I'll do that for you anytime. That thing hit me so hard because no matter who the person is, celebrity or not, on top of the world, don't nobody know them. People still have the same issues. And that's literally what you said your dad said. They're human. They still have issues. They still have things they don't want to do and all these different things. And I think the hardest thing for me is to say, like, we tend to put believers, celebrities on these pedestals as if they owe us something, when at the end of the day, they don't owe us anything at all. Nobody owes us anything. The only thing, well, the word say, don't just love man and that's it, right? But it hit me and I sat, and it was crazy because I was reading it and I was like, dang, man, like, because sometimes I have expectations of people to do certain things. Sometimes even to put me on, if you will, because I know there's that connection, right? So you you got a connection, somebody gonna put you on. You know how it is.
Yeah.
And that thing don't happen. You be like, dang, man, I thought that was the lane. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the lane. Then I sit and I look at People Are People, when I look at even my family and look at my dad and my mom and other people as well, and I see where they are, and my expectation for people is to be a certain way, and it's just not there. And it really hit me because all this time I'm expecting all these people to do all these different things, not necessarily for me, because I can see them being a better person by doing these things, but people are people. they have their own relationship with God. They walk through this whole thing themselves. And then as soon as I started reconciling this thing in my mind, then my wife called and she had a situation. And that was literally within 5 to 10 minutes of me reading that chapter and getting it over in myself, she calls me with the same thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, well, let me tell you something what Ed said.
I mean, when I tell you, because the situation, I'll tell it with me. I don't
Go
care.
ahead.
So the situation,
Okay.
you know, we were pastors, and we ended up closing our church because we were basically facing divorce. You know, it was either ministry or
Wow.
ministry, divorce, or cut the ministry, and we continued to build our family. And we decided to focus on ministry. But when we were in ministry as pastors, family, excuse me. When we were in ministry as pastors, boy, the way that other pastors treated you was like royalty. You know what I mean? We never asked for, you know, to come sit on the front rows and all of this special VIP behind the scenes treatment, but that's what happened. And one of the pastors who we were connected with, the first lady, I'm now doing all these speaking engagements, things like that. God is doing something different with my personal ministry. And even our spiritual dad, in a meeting, he said, you know, Chris, when I listen to you preach, man, the word is different. He said, I don't listen. What did he say? I don't listen to I don't listen to
nobody.
I don't listen to folks preach. He says, but I listen to you. And he says, you and somebody else are probably the only women preachers who I actually listen to and actually receive a word from. This is my spiritual dad. First of all, you internet. What you doing listening to me in the first place? You know what I mean? And it's just it's just another level of, whoa, God, like, first of all, I didn't even know you. Like, I was in a meeting, right? And I was like, you listen to me? Mm-hmm. Like, how is that like, you know, you're trying to understand how that's happening. But anyway, after that meeting, you know, even Pastor Taffy was like, Chris, God is literally about to do something for you, ministry-wise. Don't think because you don't have a church that cancels you. You know what I mean? Like that completely just kind of shifts your assignment. And I remember just going through kind of insecurities, and I show up. I had just preached at another person's church that Sunday morning. And after they had a service, somebody texted me, the first lady of another pastor who we're connected to, texted me and said, God put you on my heart, and there's something I need you to do if it confirms with your spirit, but I believe it will, because God has really been showing me to call you. And so I'm all like, what do they want? You know what I mean? And we get to the meeting or whatever, wherever I see her, and she says, God told me to ask you, will you be my assistant? I said, your what? She said, your assistant. Like, can you be my assistant? And I'm like, your assistant? Like your admin? And she's like, basically like an armor bearer. And I called Rob, and Rob was like, hell no. But what bothered me, it wasn't even what was spoken, but what hurt was all this that God is confirming, and then this is what someone asked of me. And I ended up calling him, and he was like, because I'm like, this was a woman who was like, come to my VIP, sit on the front row, all of this other stuff. And she was like, oh, since you don't have the church no more, I'm sure you got free time and you can just be my assistant. And it hurt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It hurt. It was like, and they have a thriving ministry. And it was like, and I called him and I said, how can all these other people see, but this person didn't see my anointing, my assignment, or not that I need you to validate me, but it hurt. And that's when he said, listen, I was just reading. And he was like, people are going to be people. And it was at that point that I realized, can't nobody open a door that God has already opened. And it was like, you can be you. That's why I'm so against cancel culture, because the church is so quick to cancel you if they feel like you don't have the notoriety or the things that you once had. And they feel like at any point, if you're no longer carrying what they feel is validating you, then they try to cancel you out. And that's why I'm against it, because literally she was like, oh, you don't have the church no more, so you got the time. You can just be my assistant. And it was like, you're not going to cancel me.
Yeah.
You can be you. You can do you. Congratulations on all what you got going on, but I'm going to rock with God. And it was like at that point, I had to realize exactly what he quoted from your book. I was like, I got to stop expecting people to do what I would do. And I got to stop expecting people to see what God has already validated. You can't open or shut a door. Like you said, you don't pay my bills. You don't pay my mortgage. You don't raise my kids. You know what I mean? And she was like, and you can stay at home with your babies. And I was like, my baby's in school. You know what I mean? But it was at that moment that I realized, if she doesn't know, that's not my problem. People's opinions and people's thoughts of you are none of your business.
Yeah.
And yeah, he literally, he don't understand. Like literally, I was sitting there and I was in tears. Like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So listen, we
Yeah.
got to land the plane though, because I know we're way over time, but we do some things a part of the show. So one of these things that we're pulling out of the bag is word association. Okay, I'm gonna throw you a few words, and you're gonna give me what comes off the top of your head. It could be a sentence, it could be another word, it could just be something that triggers in your spirit, right? So I'm gonna just hit you with these, and this is pretty much what have we've encountered lately. Just even some current topics or whatever. But first thing I'm gonna hit you with is savage.
Y'all,
For real. For real.
especially this one.
For real.
She's talking for real.
She's like, why you say that?
Why you say that?
No, we ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
All right. Actually, I'm gonna throw an extra one in here. Embrace.
Not to be redundant, but how I feel right now. Yeah, how I feel.
Cool. That's what's up. Cody.
You lucky you know me like that. Everybody can't pull that off.
It was in the book, man. It's in the book.
It's all good.
All right. Last one. Pops.
No worries. Just miss him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, man. Well done. Cool. Well, that wraps another show of Unlearning Religion, God for the Rest of Us. We've got the crew here, and we want to say goodbye. Everybody say goodbye.
All right.
And we're going to see y'all on the next one, because we got some more stuff that is coming to you. I promise you, y'all are not going to miss it, but you got to subscribe. Subscribe. Please do that. And that's a wrap. All right. Love y'all. See you soon.
Okay, let it be known. I'm working hard when I ain't on the phone. This ain't a hunt, this ain't a foe. Grind never stopping, I'm keeping it cold. Unlocking the door with the holy key. You supposed to be this close to me, and hopefully